Hello, welcome to CS320. My name is Chengyu Sang, and I'll be your instructor for the quarter. Today we'll start with an overview of the class and give you some idea about the format, organization of the course, the topics, schedule, grading, and so on and so forth. The first thing you should know is the class homepage. As you can see, this is a class homepage, and everything about this class is on this page. The contact information of the instructor and the TAs, the lecture notes, the lecture videos, and later on the examples we discuss in class will be linked here under additional course materials. The assignments will be posted on this page, and even the exams will be posted here. So make sure that you know where this class homepage is. As you can see, the URL of this page is kind of long, so it's kind of difficult to remember. An easier way to get here is simply remember my web server name called sang.calstatela.edu. Sang being my last name, and then of course the domain is .calstatela.edu. If you go to that web server, you can see that there's a link to the class homepage on the upper right corner. Click on that link and then you'll be right here. This quarter will have 3 sections. Notice that I named the sections differently from GET. I basically put both the lecture and the lab sections together as one section. For first section, it will be on Monday and Wednesday. Second section will be on Tuesday and Thursday. And the third section will be on Friday and Friday again. So as you can see, for each section officially there's a lecture and then there's a lab. But as we'll see when we talk about the schedule, some weeks we will have 2 lectures instead of 1 lecture and 1 lab. And all in all, I think we'll have like about 6 or 7 labs. As for the format of the 3 sections, the first 2 sections will be regular sections. We will have a face-to-face lecture and then a lab. The third section, however, we want to try a so-called flip the classroom model for online teaching. So what this so-called flip the classroom model is that for regular teaching, the students go to a classroom to take the lectures, right? And then they go home to do the homework assignments and their exercises. Now, under this flip the classroom model, the students will take lectures at home by watching online lecture videos, and then they go to a classroom to do the exercises and homework. So it's kind of the reverse of the regular teaching model. We'll give this a try and see how this model works out. And but let me clarify that all 3 sections will have the same homework assignments and lab exercises, and I will do all the lectures, including recording the lecture videos for all 3 sections. So so that in that aspect, those 3 sections are more or less the same. Now, if you are in section 3, for example, and if you are uncomfortable with this flip the classroom model, then you are welcome to attend the live lectures in either of the other 2 sections. You can come on Monday or Tuesday and attend the lecture. That's perfectly fine for me. And on the other hand, if you are in section 1 and 2 and you prefer not to come to the lectures and you want to watch lecture videos at home and then just come to the labs, that's also fine. So whatever you do with respect to the lectures is perfectly fine to me. However, no matter which section you attend, you have to attend the labs because you have to do exercises during the lab. That's something you have to do, and you have to attend the labs in whatever section you are enrolled in. Also, for section 3, you also need to go to class during the lecture time. Although you would have already watched the lecture videos, but there might be some additional exercises we want to give you for you to do during the lecture time, and sometimes you can also do homework during lecture time, according to the so-called flipped classroom model. So for section 3, you have to go to both lectures and labs for that. So my office hours this quarter will be on Monday and Tuesday from 3:30 to 5 p.m. As you can see in this chart, it's basically the time after the lectures on Monday and Tuesday. I don't have the office hours for the TAs yet. Once those information is available, I'll be posted on the class homepage. For this quarter, we'll have 2 TAs, Eric and Alice. And Eric will be in charge of the lab sections for the first two sections, and Alice will be in charge of basically section 3. Everything other than lecture videos for section 3 will be Alice's responsibility. So let's then go over the syllabus real quick. The class is web and internet programming, and I usually would like to call it the fundamentals of Java web programming, because we focus mainly on web programming technology based on Java. So we have the contact information and office hours here, and as for the topics of the class, let's skip this for now. In a moment, I'll go over the subjects and what so-called web development entails in a moment. So we'll discuss this in more details later. Now let me spend a little time on the prerequisites. In previous quarters, some students struggled in this class. Not because this is a particularly difficult class. I think, in my opinion, this is a programming class, and programming class tend not to be that difficult. The problem that some students had, I think, are related to not having sufficient background for the class. Even sometimes people have taken the prerequisites. Maybe it was too long ago, they forgot the stuff, or maybe it's in some other institutions where the subject don't quite match our classes and so on. So let me explain a little bit what those 3 prerequisites mean. Now, the first prerequisite is CS320, and as you know, this is a class about HTML and CSS. Now, exactly how much do you have to know HTML and CSS? The answer is that not too much. You obviously need to know some basics, like what is HTML, right? And we know HTML is a text format that you use so-called text to mark up certain text, like you use a p tag to mark up a paragraph, and everything in a web page should be enclosed in HTML tags and so on. Right? So you obviously need to know this, because later on we'll generate HTML pages using Java code, and you have to create this type of tags in your Java code. And also, specifically, there are certain tags that we are going to use quite a lot, and if you forgot what those tags are and how to use them, you'll need to review your CS320 course material. Things like table tags, like to create a table, you need a table tag, and then for a table row, you need a TR, for a table cell, you need a TD, and this type of thing. And another type of tags that we use quite often are the form tags. You need to know, for example, how to create a form. and that requires a form tag. And inside the form, you may have input boxes, input areas, selection list, and so on. So that requires input text areas like option tags. And you need to be fairly familiar with those tags and understand the basic thing about HTML. But that's more or less it. This is a programming class. This is not a web design class, so you don't really need to create fancy, beautiful web pages, just the basic ones that are at least syntactically correct. And many of you know how to use CSS or the cascading style sheets, and those are code that you use to manage the color, the layout, the fonts, and so on of your HTML pages. Now, CSS knowledge is optional. If you don't know CSS or you are not very familiar with it, that's perfectly fine. It's not required for this class. So by and large, HTML requirement is pretty basic. And similarly, the SQL requirement is also pretty basic. The second prerequisite is CS320, and that's about using SQL to query relational databases. And you do need to have some working knowledge about database and SQL, things like the basic syntax of the SQL statements, like create table statements, drop table statements, and so on. You'll need to be able to write simple selection queries, like select star from table, and also you'll need to at least know how to do a so-called join query to query data that's scattered in more than in 2 tables or more. So if you know how to write selection and join, and you know what SQL and the database is, then you are pretty much fine for this class. Now, the real hard prerequisite is this CS203, data structures in Java. I call this the hard prerequisite because the previous 2 prerequisites, if you don't have them, it's no big deal. You can go on to the web and find yourself an online tutorial, spend an hour, and then you can learn enough about HTML and SQL in an hour to meet the prerequisites. On the other hand, the third prerequisite, which is Java programming skill, is a pretty important prerequisite. And this is not something that you can learn or improve in a very short period of time. So this is kind of important. Not only you need to know the Java language, you have to be fairly proficient in that language. The reason being that although this prerequisite says 203, but remember 203 requires 202, which requires 201. In other words, by the time you reach this class, you should have already taken 3 classes using Java. So you should already know how to do, for example, object-oriented design. If I give you an application, let's say create an online bookstore, then you need to be able to create classes that corresponds to a book, to an order, to a customer, and you need to be able to write code that implement certain business logic, like adding a book to an order, changing the quantity of the items in the shopping cart, and of course debugging, do those type of things. So if you are not very comfortable with programming in Java, then you are going to have a hard time in this class. Now, in addition to basic programming skills, you also need to know a little bit data structure, in particular things like list, queue, stack, and set. And in Java, the java.utility package has lots of data structures already implemented for you, and you'll need to know how to use them. For example, how to create a list of strings, how to create a set of integers and so on. So this, by the way, uses the so-called generic form of the class, and you obviously need to know what the generic is and how to use that. And last but not least, you need to be comfortable doing input and output in Java. That means you need to know the reader, writer, and input/output class in the Java I/O package, and also in particular in the first few weeks we'll do quite a bit file input and output. So you need to know how to read a text file and then how to write to a text file as well. So some of these things, if you already know them but are not quite familiar with them, it doesn't take much time to review some information about collection classes or I/O and so on. But as I mentioned, improving Java programming skill in general takes longer than that. So I guess the bottom line is that if you are comfortable with programming, in particular programming Java, you'll find this class relatively easy. If not, you are going to find it quite hard. This is a hardcore programming class. That's I guess the only way to put it. So this is a prerequisite, and since most of you are already in this class, so at least officially you already need the prerequisites. But if you forgot some of them, spend some time outside the class to review the things you need to know. Now, as for the textbook, there's no required textbook per se. This one, we've been using this as the quote-unquote textbook for this class for a long time, but you really don't need to spend that time reading the book because the book is kind of old. Lots of chapters in the book are kind of outdated. The reason I keep this book and not just say no textbook at all is that some people like to have something to read. So you might as well read this one if you have to find something to read. The good thing about this book is that it's available online completely for free. So at least you don't have to pay for it. And certain chapters in the book are still kind of useful, things like handling requests and responses and so on. But some other chapters like server setup and configuration are completely outdated. So it's not something that you have to read, but it's just something that's available in case you want to read something. Now, for this class, you are going to use several software tools from IDE like Eclipse to database MySQL, and then application servers like Tomcat. I have posted a write-up on how to set up the development environment. It's fairly detailed, and it also has lecture video that goes along with it, and you can watch the video and see exactly what to do. So I'm not going to spend the time on this in class. So please read this guide and set up a development environment on your computer. And if you have any questions, let me know. Now, then it's the important stuff, grading. So in this class, your final grade will be determined by several things. The first thing is the homework and the projects, and then the labs, and then the midterm, and then final. Homework and the project will account for 40% of your total grade, labs 20%, and then 20% for both midterm and final. And almost all of the the assignments are programming assignments, and both the exams will be programming exams as well. So you'll come to the class, and then I'll give you an application, and then you'll program that application in class, and then that will be basically your midterm and final exam. And yeah, as you can see, homework is a fairly large part of your total grade, and it's even larger than either midterm or final. So please do spend time and effort working on your homework assignments. Programming is all about practice. You don't exactly learn programming during class or during lectures. Although you may learn the syntax, you may learn tags and so on and so forth, but exactly how to apply those and to construct a program that actually does something, it takes lots of practice, which is why homework and lab assignments are that important in this class. So as for the schedule, this is week 1, and we'll cover some administrative issues, and we'll give you an introduction, and then later on we'll start to write Java servlets. And next week we'll have our first lab. And then in week 3, the Monday is the Martin Luther King's Day. It will affect only section 1, and even for section 1, we can squeeze both lectures during the lab time. So the Martin Luther Martin Luther King's Day won't affect our schedule, and then you can see the rest of the quarter. And the important thing is we are going to have a midterm in week 7, and it's a pretty late midterm. Normally it should be in sometime in week 6, but because of the way we have to schedule it, it's going to be week 7. The important thing about that is it may be too late to decide whether to drop the class or not after midterm. So pay attention to your homework and lab grades, and whether you have found the class to be difficult. Don't wait until after the midterm to decide whether you want to drop the class or not, because that may be too late. The drop deadline, I think, is sometime in week 7 or early week 8. Okay, so that's for the schedule, and then there are some online resources listed in the syllabus. The first link is the class homepage. We've covered that. Second one is a class forum, which is quite important. Most of the time, when you have questions, you may not be able to come to my office hours and so on. Sometimes you have a question, we'll do homework at home. And if you have any questions related to the class, but not just related to yourself, for example, if you get sick and you want to be excused from a class or a lab, obviously you send me an email. But if it's something that's related to a class, in general, then please post your questions in the class forum. The nice thing about using the forum is that when you have a question, then chances are some other students in the class will have the same question. And if you post the question in the forum and answer it in the forum, and then everybody else can see the answer, so I don't have to answer the same question again and again if you send me the question by email. Also, the CSNS forum has a feature that when you post your question in the forum, I automatically get an email notification. So it is as efficient as sending me email, and Don't send me emails. If you have questions, use the class forum. Another important thing in the forum is the late submission policy. So in this class, we do allow late submissions up to 2 days after the due date. However, if you submit late, there will be a late penalty. It's 10% for being 1 day late, and then 25% for being late for 2 days. After 2 days, we won't accept any late submissions anymore. So try to submit your homework on time. If you have to be late, then don't be late for more than 2 days. And then this is the website for the textbook. And then there are a bunch of links to various documentation, like the documentation for serverless and documentation for JSTL tags and so on. So believe it or not, by the end of the quarter, you'll read most of these documentations, not cover to cover, of course, but you'll need to refer to most of these documentations for various things. Reading documentation is actually part of the training of being a programmer or software developer. So get used to and get comfortable at reading documentation. And last but not least, do not cheat. And we do look for cheating rigorously. We do read your source code. We don't just just run it. And if you are caught cheating, there will be severe consequences. And also, let me just clarify right at the beginning that you are allowed to work together, right? So but there's a line we have to draw between working together and cheating. And sometimes actually oftentimes when people are caught cheating, they would come to us and say, we are just working together, we didn't know, it's not allowed, and this and that. We all know those are excuses, and you are certainly allowed to work together on a problem, and but we do draw a line, and that line is at the code level, meaning that you cannot share your code with anybody, you cannot copy code from anybody, you cannot give your code to anybody. If that happens, it's cheating. If you want to help somebody, you can tell them in English how to do certain things. You can say, just put a user tag or create a servlet to do this, and then create a model class to do that. So as long as talk, and that's okay, but do not touch code, do not give code, do not receive code, do not debug code for anybody, and we'll be fine with that. Okay, so that is it for the syllabus, and that concludes the overview of the class.